Hello, Lauren here. Hope you're okay. This piece of content is about alleviating anxiety. I'm receiving so many comments asking for videos on how to reduce anxiety, and a majority of my videos are about reducing anxiety. So I thought about it, and I'm someone that experiences significant anxiety, and I've been working with my own anxiety throughout my life and studying how to manage anxiety. You listen to my content, yet so many of you ask for new videos on reducing anxiety. So let's unpack anxiety. I suggest you get a coffee or a glass of water or something, and let's have a sit down. Sit down or lie down comfortably. Sit down and let's talk anxiety. If you are listening to my Apple podcast, you'll hear this audio. This is a quiet talk. This is not a meditation. This is information. Grab yourself a drink, sit down, and let's talk. Firstly, anxiety comes from stress. Anxiety is a symptom of stress. We need stress to live. There is a level of stress when we choose to breathe, for our heart to beat, for us to take a step, for us to get up in the morning. There is what's called positive stress, motivational stress. I want to win this run. I want to do well in my essay. And there's distress, negative stress. This is distressful. Eustress, positive. Distress, negative. These are necessary. There are 4 responses to high stress. They are fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Try saying that fast 10 times. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. I tend to be a fawner myself, is one of the processes I'm working through in my life. These are responses that our biological body uses with the belief it helps us stay safe. So we do these things when we feel threatened and we want to stay safe. When we feel threatened, note the word feel. We perceive that we are threatened. Now that may be a real threat or a perceived threat. Through experience in life, we can learn something is threatening, and then at another stage, so at 9 years of age, we learned that clouds were threatening. We learn that, we're like software, we file it away, and then we go back to it at another time when it suits us. We've got these incredible brains, and we make a certain number of decisions a day. So some of it has to be software, just learned, just filed away. Okay, clouds are dangerous. Walk away from clouds every time. And that becomes subconscious. So we're not even aware, or may not be aware, that we don't like clouds. We want to stay away from clouds or spiders or birds or closed doors. My father was in a war camp, and in the Second World War, he wanted the doors closed all the time. As a child, I seemed to inherit this discomfort with open doors because Dad always wanted them closed. He wanted to know we're safe in the room. It was sometime into my life I thought, hey, how come I always want the door closed? How come I am not so comfortable if someone wants the door open? And I slowly looked at it. So it's my biological body storing an innate belief in order to keep me safe. Judgments and assessments such as this are at times, oftentimes, a good idea. For example, if we're walking down a dark laneway and there's someone stumbling on the other side and they have trouble walking and they look big, perhaps they're stereotypically covered in tattoos. Now, I understand that tattoos doesn't mean that somebody is unsafe. I get that totally. But when we are in a situation where we feel threatened, we make quick judgments that may be unreasonable. So due to learning, due to culture, and a lot of things. So we may walk down this street in the dark, see someone stumbling, and cross over and walk the other way for safety. So as a human animal, we've made that quick decision, it's not safe. The reality is that that person could be a lovely person who suffers from Parkinson's or something like that, and they're an awesome person. As animals, we make judgments to stay alive, and this can be a reasonable course of action to take. So there's judgments to stay alive, and then there's unreasonable judgments we also can make at times. It's prudent to look down on judgments and over time say to yourself, is that a reasonable judgment? Is that going to keep me not only safe, but living a quality of life? And does that judgment include others and help others live a standard of quality life? The reason I'm saying this, talking about precedent or having judgments, is how anxiety happens. So we have stress, we need positive and negative stress. Positive stress, so we're motivated to achieve, and negative stress to keep us alive. The human animal is driven by a need to stay alive. The human animal is not driven by a need to be happy. That's not our driving force. Our driving force is to stay alive. Not necessarily to be happy. The reason I say that, if you look at a lot of the things that humans do, they are not reasonable courses of actions that lead towards happiness. They lead towards generally staying alive. For example, a parent who truly loves a child sometimes will feel a little concern when a child tries an incredible goal, like to get to the best basketball team or to become a professional singer or something. The parent in some cases can think, oh no, the child may not get there and the child will feel pain. So the parent is more likely, from a parental point of view, to want the comfort and safety of the child rather than go beyond their comfort zone and achieve amazing things out of the comfort zone. So us as animals, we're a herd animal, we're sheep, and our herd mentality encourages us to stay in our comfort zone. Happiness is out of the comfort zone. Grief takes us out of our comfort zone. Processing of grief, it's not comfortable. Just summarizing the precursors to anxiety. So we feel anxious. Anxiety is learned. Stress is instinctive. Anxiety is learned. Anxiety is also a disease of our contemporary society. We have almost become socialized into anxiety. So we used phrases such as, you just need to chill. Really? That phrase was not used 20 years ago. No one said it. Relax, just chillax. I need time out. I'm so stressed. These are phrases that are popular in pop culture. Why? Because in our society, we now talk about being stressed. It's like propaganda. We are in some ways encouraging that mindset. Now, if you've been through trauma or you have legitimate significant stress, you're going to say, but that's not me. No, that's not you. Each of you has your own path that you follow and your own life. No one has the right, no one can define what you need to feel, what you need to think, and who you are. That's your role. A counsellor's role is to support you through safe, reasonable decisions with a duty of care. Only you know what's right for you. Coming back to anxiety, I'm going to go through some strategies to reduce anxiety. Keep in mind that it is about you and you being okay. It is about you being kind to yourself. It is about you caring for yourself, but understanding how the human herd works. You have your individual self, and you're also a human being. Human beings are social human beings. Human beings tend to follow pop culture, cultural norms, beliefs, and this can influence us, hopefully positively, but sometimes not so positively. When I say not so positively, this belief at the moment that we are also stressed, and there's an emphasis on the individual in contemporary society rather than others. So it's about, I need to do the work, I need to get selfies done, I need to be popular on Instagram, I need to self-realize, I need to find myself. Well, the fact is, we're here, we're in the present, we haven't been lost. These words are popular and used in Instagram, in shorts, etc. Do they serve us? And the more emphasis we place on the individual, the more we lose our sense of reality that we are inherently social. We are a community. Without taking care of it, the community as a society will die out. We will not function. We will not continue. We need to look after each other. So the more focus we place on the individual, the less healthy society would be. But I'm not throwing the baby out the bathwater. I'm not saying ignore your sense of self. I'm saying that we balance it out. We get to know who we are so that we can help others. Okay. First strategy for reducing anxiety is, I've taken notes here, breathing and meditation. I was reading, I always forget how to pronounce his name, Bessel von der Volk. Can someone help me in the comments? Bessel, that wrote the book, I can't remember the name of the book there, The Body Keeps Score. I love his work. I can't remember his exact name. I love his work. Deep breathing and meditation. So he talks about research outlining that mindfulness helps anxiety. Now, personally, when I feel anxious, the last thing I want to do is mindfulness. When I feel anxious, I want to distract myself. I want to do something fast and furious. Might be browsing, might be watching a show, maybe ringing a number of friends, maybe going to the shop, something that is strongly and fiercely distracting. This generally doesn't help. I may suggest to a client that I say to them, okay, set a timer, tell yourself you're going to browse for 10 minutes and then turn it off. Have a way of curtailing and holding in a holding pen that need to distract. And mindfulness is one of the primary strategies to reduce anxiety. And mindfulness is like brushing teeth. It's not about going to do a 90-minute yoga class once a week. Well, it might be. It's about little bite-sized pieces. 4-minute stretches, 4-minute breathing exercises, something user-friendly. It's about developing a ritual. A ritual is a habit or routine that has meaning and is important to your belief system. So developing rituals around mindfulness and making mindfulness bite-size, achievable. I've got here deep breathing and meditation. If we are stressed, if we are anxious, the last thing we want to do is breathe deeply. So in those situations, breathe as you breathe. Be aware of the moment and say to yourself, right now I feel pretty yucky. My head's all over the place and I feel agitated. So I'm just going to breathe as I breathe. I'm going to notice the breath, allowing for the pattern of breath I have today. One of the strategies that can exacerbate stress is contrasting. So if somebody feels quite sad, to have an affirmation, I feel happy. Or if someone's felt loss, having an affirmation, I have abundance. So the strong contrasting can heighten anxiety. So being careful of any strong contrasting. Gentle, resilient, softly. So to say, breathe deeply. Are you serious? I'm hyperventilating over here and you want me to breathe deeply? It's like, just notice your breath. You're doing okay. Take it moment by moment. Don't place any expectations on yourself. You're breathing. Breath is good. Be soft with yourself and others. I've just, my screen's just gone to sleep. Okay, so the point there with breathing and meditation, beware of the contrast. So soft strategies and mindfulness wins every time. 2, exercise and physical activity. Exercise and physical activity which suits you, and that creates endorphins which help. These are 1%ers. I'm not into the silver bullet, yay, this is the thing that will fix it. This is the, what is it from Matrix? The red pill or the blue pill? Anyway, silver bullet. I don't believe in one red pill or whatever. I think it's 1%ers. So exercise and physical activity are 1%ers. Do exercise and physical activity that suits you and it's kind. Be careful. I'm a really big exerciser. I exercise generally twice a day. So it's a big part of my life. It's important that you have the ability to look down upon it and say, is that actually serving me? Is it reducing my anxiety, or has it become an obsession in itself? So just look down, be the eagle looking down perspective. Engage in activities like yoga, walking, nature. There's overwhelming research that being near the sea, being near water is therapeutic. So take that on board if you will. Exercise that increases resilience. Resilience is a really important concept. The ability to get back up. Resilience is the ability to go through pain and be Terminator-like. Keep going. It doesn't mean you jump up like a bee and go, yay, pain, awesome, I'm okay. It's more like lying on the ground fetal, like crying and then getting up and saying, okay, I'm gonna have a glass of water, I'm gonna have a breath, all right. Resilience is being reasonable, moderate, having perspective, and moving forward with an acceptance for what is. Resilience is really important. Be careful of any catastrophic thoughts such as, he's a terrible person, or she's an awesome person, this therapist has saved my life, or this person is horrible, toxic. any extreme points of view do not encourage resilience. Resilience is about, well, that happened and that wasn't good. So rather than, oh, it's terrible, be careful of affect. One of the things I learned again and again when working in specialist mental health was be careful of affect. Affect, like, yay, I'm happy, or oh, I'm sad. I'm not saying don't have affect, because we are affective as humans. I'm saying be careful. It takes away from our ability to reason. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying take a breath. How does it serve you? When somebody, a client, goes through an awful experience, if we as mental health workers go, oh my God, that's awful, we're training them into not being resilient. So we may say, I'm here to listen. I'm so sorry you went through that. What can I do to support you? That is more resilient. Catastrophic is, oh my God, did that happen to you? Oh my God, how can you cope? That's too much affect. Now, each of you has your own journey. So what I'm saying may be relevant, may not be relevant. Cool bananas. All right. Point 3, journaling and expressive writing. The ability to express yourself. When we express ourselves creatively, we remind ourselves of the beautiful, colourful soul that we are. So whether it's crocheting, my friend loves to crochet, or collecting photos, or expressive writing, journaling, art therapy is really awesome, with lots of paints and getting messy. And journaling, it might be writing 1 word a day, 10 words. Make your strategies user-friendly rather than becoming another source of stress. Oh my God, I've got to run a marathon. Oh my God, I've got to write in my journal an hour a day. Oh my God, I've got to do a 90-minute yoga class. Maybe that's okay, but the strategies are to support you being kind to yourself. So look down upon that. Mindfulness and grounding techniques are activities that focus on the present moment, observing your thoughts without judgment. Now, we talked before, judgment, humans judge for a reason, to stay alive. So to throw judgment out completely is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Isn't that a terrible phrase? Anyway, to throw out judgment completely is unreasonable. It's the ability to look down upon judgment and say, does this serve me? Does this help me? Now, we are our thoughts. So if we go around judging people, where those are our thoughts, they're going to take up space in our mind and they're going to take away from our ability to feel peace. And there's a difference between judging danger and judging people at a cafe or at school or at work. Just observe that. Be in the moment. When we talk about being present, I was saying to one client too, we focus on being present. That doesn't mean we don't reflect positively on the past or plan effectively towards the future. We can only feel happiness or peace now. Feelings are felt in the present. By actively practicing being present, we're in a better position to plan towards the future and enjoy reflecting on the past. So we can reflect on the past positively, which is different from carrying a trauma from the past. Now, it is intrinsic to the human being to hold trauma in your body. Why? So we can stay safe. If our body remembers that trauma intricately in every detail, the body thinks, oh, we'll stay safe next time. Well, that doesn't necessarily work because we're traumatized. And sometimes it's important to let go of memory and say, hey, body, I get what you're doing. I get you're trying to keep me alive, but my quality of life is suffering here. So can you let go of that memory? So move with that and understanding who we are as an animal. Animals hold trauma. As a conscious being, I think I'll take the lesson from the trauma, but let the trauma go. And I know I'm being simplistic, and I know it's not simplistic. And you may have gone through an incredible trauma and you're right now saying, oh, you have no idea, Lauren. Yep, I have no idea. You have the idea. You It's your role to be resilient and cherry pick what suits you here. Utilize grounding techniques such as sensory awareness or grounding objects to anchor yourself. So when anxious, say to yourself, I'm now eating, I'm focusing on chewing the food, or I'm focusing on holding the cup, I'm focusing on running my hands through the grass or feeling the trunk of a tree or listening to the birds or feeding the birds or the feeling of soil as I plant. Practicing sensory comforting, being aware, this is a nice shower, this towel is a beautiful fabric. I feel good in my bed, rather than let your mind dart around. An unsafe mind darts around. So if you can look down on your mind and see when it starts darting and say, hang on, I know what you're doing. Mind, I know you're trying to keep me safe, but it's not going to work out. So let's just rein you in one thought at a time. And start mapping your mind, noticing where your mind is going. Perhaps set an alarm at the same time each hour. Notice what you're thinking about and make a decision. Do I really want to give myself to these thoughts? I'm supposed to be the thinker. I'm supposed to be the one deciding to think, not, can you imagine a puppy and we're supposed to train the puppy and the puppy's running around and we're being pulled by the leash? We're the thinker. We are the being. We do the thinking. We choose the thoughts and the feelings. I know it's not easy. It's a practice. It's about little bite-sized pieces. Healthy lifestyle choices, number 5. Balanced nutritious diet. Be careful of any substance abuse, alcohol, etc. Have a sleep ritual, and this is a whole topic in itself. Sleep patterns. Now notice what you do leading up to sleep. Be very careful of a busy mind before you sleep. That is a whole video in itself. Prioritize to restorative yoga, or look up restorative yoga, really important. Develop skills and resilience. Watch videos on how to develop resilience. See that as mindful fitness, the skill of resilience, and learning to avoid catastrophic language. I can see I've got about 50 videos here. Limiting media consumption. Set boundaries with media consumption. We absolutely know that browsing brings depression. Done. Browsing brings depression. Browsing does not give satisfaction, does not bring reward, doesn't make us feel good. It makes us feel bad, period. So let's be careful of our browsing. Be careful of exposing yourself to browsing lights. Focus on uplifting content that inspires, motivates, and calms. Sometimes motivation cannot be calming or may not be calming. Watch that. And focus on resilience. Resilience and compassion. Resilience and compassion. They're the hygiene. Imagine that they're the brush and shovel of your mind. Resilience and compassion. Brush and shovel of the mind. I like that. Relaxation techniques. Progressive muscular relaxations are so important because they help us hone into the voice of the body. The body lets us know where it's holding trauma, how it's holding trauma, what parts of the body, and it can give us the gateway to healing trauma. And when I say healing trauma, we don't get over trauma, we evolve through trauma. Another video. Cognitive behavioural therapies. Challenge negative thoughts, replace them with positive thoughts, redirect your mind, be careful of catastrophic thoughts, practice self-compassion, embrace self-care, cultivate a resilient and compassionate mindset with space in the mind, encourage pregnant pauses without thought or less thought, and practice compassion towards others. and always seek professional help and therapy to keep you safe. A disclaimer about cognitive behavioural therapy. Cognitive behavioural therapy is about choice theory, that we choose our feelings and thoughts, and that has merit. If somebody has experienced trauma, we become like a robot. We have software within us that can be triggered. So let's say we see something that reminds us, my father. So if my father saw bare feet, it reminded him of terrible experiences in the camps. So we as children couldn't have bare feet. As I grew up, I felt stress when I saw bare feet because I was, told as a child, quick, get your shoes on, your dad's coming. So with cognitive behavioural therapy, a therapist would say, you choose that. A trauma specialist would say, would you like to talk about it? With the caveat, when we talk about trauma, we re-traumatize ourselves. So it can be helpful to share trauma because we feel heard, we feel listened to, we feel validated, we feel affirmed. But as soon as we share the story, we re-traumatize ourselves, and that has the adrenal effect of affecting our health. So we look at it and say, will I share the story and re-traumatize myself? Yes, today I will. Or no, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to replace that with something else. I'm going to go with a little bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, a little bit of trauma therapy, and look at that cake. You're basically making a cake that suits you. What ingredients of meditation, resilience training, compassion. Compassion is really important because when we feel compassion, we develop the ability to have perspective. When we have perspective, we have a bird's eye view over our life. Okay. These are some strategies to reduce anxiety. First one is to identify what anxiety is. Why did it start? What triggered it? Where did it come from? If we luxuriate or wallow or stay in the space, mindful space of this is what happened to me, this is my trauma, this is my childhood, we lose the pregnant pause, the space to move on. Now, moving on doesn't mean negating it, but we need to be mindful of defining ourselves by our poor experiences. There needs to be a point, what we say, what we think we are. If we say, oh, I'm the person that this happened to, well, that's who you'll be forever. I get it's hard. I've had some pretty difficult things happen in my life, and I certainly wouldn't want someone to belittle or demean my experience. But in life, we have two choices: to swim or drown. And it's not pretty. It's not easy. But you know what? You can do it. Human beings are made to be resilient. We're made to move through, not to not feel pain, not to get rid of pain, but to take one step at a time. Learn, see the lessons in the pain, develop, grow in wisdom, and help others. Thank you for listening to my content. Thank you for supporting me on Patreon. Sleep well, relax.